Welcome to the Port Charles Update with your hosts, Mish and Mel.
Hey,
Hello, how are you?
good. You? How was your week?
My week was pretty good today. I took a day off because Olivia had a day off from school, so we actually had some family time. It was really nice, and we had snow here, so we built two snowmen because
Oh,
the two girls each wanted a little snowman, so I had to make one for each of them.
did they help or did they just watched you make
They
snowmen outside?
they did help, but I had to make like the more giant ball, like they're
Yeah.
coming to these tiny little snowballs. I'm like, okay, then we have to like push it in the snow and build it up together. So it was kind of a team effort with me taking the lead.
Fun.
More projects, but honestly, it was such a beautiful, like big fat snowflakes. And usually I have a love-hate relationship as I age with snow. And today I was in love with snow. So it was wonderful.
So you had the day off. You guys did the whole snow thing. Anything else?
We went to go visit a great grandma, so Brandon's grandmother, and that was really nice. So that was like a little like an hour and a half drive, and it was just different to spend time with her without like the whole family. Like usually we go when it's a holiday or something like that, but it was just us and the girls and her, and it was lovely. And the city is quite cute, and we had a really great day.
That's awesome. I'll give
You?
you I'll give you a peek into what my week was like by sharing one experience. So one kid has like a bajillion doctor's appointments, two different appointments in 1 week. So comes time for the second appointment. I'm already whining that I have to go to another doctor's appointment. So that morning, we're supposed to, basically, I told Johnny the night before, he's like, set an alarm. And I said, no, you set an alarm. I said, you set an alarm and then you wake me up.
Yeah.
Because he has to go to work. And I mean, if you're already getting up before me, then come and wake me up. So I don't know what is wrong with his stupid alarm. It wakes us up an hour after we have to get up, basically when I have to leave, because I didn't
Oh,
realize when I made the doctor's appointment. So it's pretty much like bring one to daycare and you have to rush to the doctor's appointment. So at this point, we have to split up. I mean, thank God his daycare is relatively close. So he had to take him by stroller, but still, the weather's not exactly warm. So I'm rushing with the baby, getting him ready to go to the doctor's appointment. And I'm actually kind of feeling relaxed because I'm like, oh, you know what? We're going to make it on time. And so I'm getting the baby out. Everything is great. I'm happy. I'm about to get this doctor's appointment out of the way. I'm lining up. And then I hear someone go, do you have an appointment with so and so? She just called and canceled her day.
oh my goodness.
And I hear this, but the girl in front of me had raised her hand. So I'm seeing all this unfold in slow motion in front of my face. So I'm watching this woman, and I follow along and I wait because they're all rescheduling appointments. So yeah, so that was the essence of my week. And it's a good
Oh,
thing we love GH so much. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing a podcast about it. But the highlight of my week was ultimately Monday's episode. So basically, given that this was my week, GH was definitely, the
the
highlights of my days of
saving,
time.
yeah, the
Yeah, the
saving
time to
grace.
really relax, pretty much. So, I mean, I was really, really excited. And I know you didn't get to watch it as it was happening on Monday. Because of work and stuff, but I was so excited to watch it that I'm watching it like when it's happening on TV. The only annoying part was I kept going to fast forward the TV. I
Yeah.
couldn't do that because I usually just watch it a little bit later to skip the commercials. But yeah, what did you think?
Okay, so funny comment first is that I thought it was hilarious that they had to put him in a plaid shirt to be like the normal guy.
Well, I noticed the puffy jacket in it. Like I found his wardrobe was super perfect for just a cop dad. He was
I
literally he was
know.
dressed like a cop dad.
It was like dead on, but I thought it's so funny because I think we take for granted the fact that we've seen him for years in his typical uniform, in his suit, in his nice pants, and his nice shirt, and like he's always so like well dressed, and then we see him completely different in this like dress down kind of like
Yeah, that
street
was weird.
guy. So awkward for me. I was like, this is so weird. And then when Olivia, like his kind of like strange reaction as Olivia, his wife, comes out was so funny to me because it's like, was he on the outside or was he actually in the life? Like for that second, I was like, what part
Me
is this?
too. That's exactly what I was gonna say. So to start, obviously, as the episode continues, it looks like he's in the life. But when it first starts, it looks like he is his old self in the new life, being like, "What is happening right now?"
Yes, because that would have been a funny take, but I appreciate the fact that they really like embodied the experience and like he just went like this was the story.
Yeah. And so, okay, did you notice on the mantle, those look like his real kids, like his real
I think
daughters?
I think they were because like I went on Instagram and like yeah, I'm pretty sure they're his real
Double
daughters.
checked. That-
Like it
yeah,
was
that
so cute.
it was really sweet. And he tweeted, I think one of his daughters was actually in the episode, sort of in the background. I think when he was in Charlie's pub. I didn't catch it and rewind to see it. The first big thing that stuck out to me when they started talking and we were getting a hint of what the story was. So we're getting a hint that there's something up with Dante. So all of a sudden it's okay when Dante's in the mob. Like all the people that are just like, so Olivia was on Sunny about this, about him
Oh.
choosing a different life in like the real everyday GH. But in this universe, she's supporting her son in the mob.
But does she not know it's the mob? Because it almost looks like she
She
doesn't know what's going on.
no, I'm sorry. She knew what was going on and she was just trying to make everybody comfortable. But I'm sorry. How do you not know what's going on? Your husband's a cop. He doesn't like these people. He's calling them scum. Of course, she knows what's going on. She's just trying to pretend.
That was so sad because she's like, he's just making another choice. No, no, he's like literally choosing the other side of the law. He's not just making like he's not just like not going to college or something.
But did you notice that? Okay, so what I really appreciated 100% of that whole episode was that it was so funny because we see these characters every day, and I guess you don't ever take the time to think about, how much they're putting into the character and that they actually are acting because it comes off so natural. We're used to seeing them,
Yeah.
but then when you're watching this What If episode, it's still Sunny, it's still Carly, it's still all these people, but they played it so subtly different. Like it wasn't like this huge slap in the face. They were just little subtlety differences in their characters, but it made it completely transformed them. And I felt that everybody had this. Even Ava had this. She's still special, super special, but I found she had it because in this context and in this universe, she was on top. She was in power, which made her way more controlled when she was had to interact with Carly. Because in everyday GH, she's always angry and she gets upset right away and she always has this pent up rage because she's basically being kicked by everybody constantly and put
True.
down. But in this universe, she was in power. So she, taunted Carly. She never really got extremely angry. There was all these little subtleties, but the only one who wasn't different was Olivia.
Oh my god, I was thinking that with her like screaming acting, like she's wonderful and all of that. But yeah, she was exactly the
everybody
same.
everybody was different except for her. I kind of like Dante and Sam. They look kind of nice together.
They did, and I love how different because we're so used to like I love her style. Like honestly, like I totally emulate her style. Like I love the jeans and the boots and the biker jacket and like the tight shirts. Like I love it. So the fact that she was all like mob wifed up,
It was
I
funny.
thought that was interesting with all the glittery makeup and the big hair. It was really it just worked really well together. And they do make a great couple. Like them and their interaction, like they did have some chemistry.
Dante was mean and he did a
I
really good
know.
job of it. And
I
it was so
know.
weird because you're used to Dante being one way, but like he really sold it. He was so mean.
Okay, so question for you. So
Yeah.
mean or bad boy? Because you like the Kevin Ryan situation. Did you like Dante in this situation?
um No, I think it was more mean than bad. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
gotcha,
Because like
gotcha.
Sonny's a bad guy, but he's a bad guy with a sense of direction. I don't know. I just found, to be honest, as a mobster, Dante was Julian because Julian was never a good mobster. He didn't really have
Yeah.
much of a code. So no, I definitely didn't find him the bad boy. He didn't really beat Kevin on the hotto meter at all. At all, which is so insane to say. But no, he was
Right?
just mean. He was mean to his dad. He was just completely mean. That's how I saw that one. And oh my gosh, did you not love that basically no matter what, like, first of all, I love Carly coming in. I loved Carly coming in. And I love how there was no shortage of her saying that AJ was a drunk.
I know. I was just like, well, that's where I learned it.
I loved it. Like just the subtlety of her character, she was not as confident like the way she said her name was Caroline, but man, did you not love the scenes with her and Sunny and their just playfulness when they're sitting at the bar together? I just love that.
It was so great because you could see her, like you said, like the acting was so great that I knew it was Sunny and Carly, but just watching them in these roles and still have that like spark or like that little kind of connection was just so cute to see.
I know the whole time I was like, Olivia, you better watch out. Sonny's
I
hanging
know.
out with Carly right now. Oh my gosh. And like, but everybody was subtly different. Like even Jason, like yes, he was still in the mob, but he just wasn't as good of a mobster. He was so submissive to Ava and he just did not have a mind of his own. He wasn't his own person. First of all, he like gave up his motorcycle. And we know that Jason in this life, he has to know himself. Otherwise his instincts wouldn't be all that good. And I just thought, if this was real Jason, there's no way he would have let Dante shoot him. He was always 10 steps ahead. He really wasn't. He was basically just this robot, which is what everyone thinks
You
he sort of is. Like everybody on the outside always thinks that Jason is just this robot. He does whatever Sonny says, but it's really not the case. This in this what if episode, that is what a robot would have looked like.
okay, so here's like I agree with the whole robot, but looked at him as more of a pet because
Yeah,
everybody,
exactly.
like
He
that
was so
he's so
submissive to Ava.
exactly. And oh my god, it gave me the heebie-jeebies when she like stroked his face or something like that. She was like super close to him. That's exactly the reaction. I made that physical reaction when I saw it on the screen. I was like, bleh. So yeah, it was really weird. Like I saw him as more of like her pet, exactly
Yeah,
that
totally.
submissive,
100%.
just like do whatever that he needs them to do, but not using his brain as to what he knows is right and
No.
wrong.
No, not at all. And did you notice that it wasn't clear if Sam was Julian's daughter? Because Alexis was still her mom in this universe.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. I totally didn't even think. I was so like zoned into everything happening and like did not even think of that. Everybody to me was somebody different.
I mean, yeah, kind of, but I mean, everybody was supposed to have this, butterfly effect because Sunny chose not to shoot what's her face's dad. But yeah, I thought that was really strange. I didn't know how that would have connected to maybe Julian not being her dad, but they did not make that explicit. Alexis was so I don't know. I don't even know
She
how to
seemed
describe
weak.
her. A little weak. Yeah. And at first I was like, what is going on with Anna? But then when they sort of dropped
I
the bomb
know.
as to what was contributing to her state, I kind of freaked out because it was in that moment that you finally started to go, oh, what would have been different if he wasn't in power? At first, all the characters are being introduced, but then you have this huge thing. It's true. With his money, with his power, he did do some good. And
Yes.
and I never made that connection about how important he was for Robin's survival. But then this was a really, really thoughtful comment. So this was on
Hmm.
Twitter actually, and I did not think of this until I read it. So this was the Twitter handle at Louise Mullen. So she said, and what a difference Robin made in Jason's life. Sunny helped save Robin, and Robin taught Jason how important it was to connect with people.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so
That is
I had
a
not put
very good point.
Yeah, that was an amazing point. I hadn't put that together, just how important everybody was for each other and basically making each other better versions of themselves. So that was really interesting. I think Robin was like sort of the biggest consequence, but it just felt to me that all those people who are on the right side of the law, kind of like Alexis and Anna, and, even Olivia, all those people who have openly sort of, how do you say, kind of don't approve of Sunny's lifestyle and has made it very clear.
Hmm.
It's just funny because the reality is, from what we saw, they've all benefited. Like Alexis is
Absolutely.
just this stronger person. Anna goes on to have an excellent and an amazing career, and even Olivia, she's the first lady of Port Charles. She's exactly the same, but she helps to run a city. Her
Exactly.
life is way better.
It's true. Sunny being in the mob has just enhanced so many people's lives.
Yeah, so it just sucks that nobody else knows that.
I know. They should watch the episode.
I don't think that they can do that. I mean, maybe if Carly and Jason knew what he was talking about or what he experienced, they wouldn't think he was so crazy and how he suddenly feels bad for Margot.
Maybe that's true.
Like, I just find that completely ridiculous. Okay, was there anything else about the What If episode that you wanted to
Oh
touch on?
yes, totally. His son being in that scene where he's like about to shoot Margot's dad, and then like Mike comes out in the first scene, and then at the end of it, it's like Sunny. But just his acting, he was so good.
He was really good in the intensity, and somebody like people on the internet were making these comparisons between him and Sunny pulling the trigger at two different instances, and honestly it was very, very similar, and he did such an amazing job because it's not like he had to say very much, but you're right, he jumped off the screen. It was really cool. And just the fact that you mentioned that the second time around you have Mike, you have Sunny, it was done really well, and it was done really cool how it all came full circle and how all the generations got to be sort of involved, like Sunny with his dad and then his younger self. I thought it was really, really cool. And that poor
Me
guy who has to sit there and be like shot or not shot, I don't know how many times
I
in that
know.
episode. There was, okay, I don't know if there's something else for you, but there was something that stood out for me, and I'm not sure what to make of it. really.
Okay.
Okay, so it's when Sunny is having that conversation with Dante where he starts to get really real with him, and he basically tells Dante that he could not live the life he wanted. That basically he was like Sunny was saying, I could live the life that you want, but it would break you. Like that really stuck to me because I'm like, what does this mean? What does Sunny know? Because it's true, he still lived a hard life. And I'm not sure if what he's trying to say is that Dante doesn't really know what it is to struggle, so he won't really know what these compromises are because maybe he's never really had to make them. I'm not sure. But it was just really interesting that even in this universe, Sunny knew that he would be made for this life,
Well,
if that's what it
like
was.
I honestly think that's exactly what he meant because from what I understand, like this fantasy is the decision he made, like when he was holding that gun and to not shoot. So his life starts from there. So previous to that, I mean, he still went through abuse. He still went through the idea of toying with being in that life and what that would entail, and that he was fully prepared to be in that life. So
Yeah,
you know what I
I
mean? So
agree.
like, and then he made this other decision because of his father. But in him, he is still that person. It doesn't change who he is inside and what he knows that he can deal with. Whereas Dante had this big cushy life and this beautiful house, and all of a sudden he wants to be a big bad mobster.
I see it that way too, and I just think that the fact that that phrase stuck with me and we're talking about it now, it really rings even more true from the amount of times Carly, other people really close to him in his everyday life have always said, this is who he is.
Yeah,
So I think maybe that is the biggest thing to come of all of this, is that is who he is. He is capable and okay with and can live with doing all of these things and this life. But anyways,
absolutely.
I just thought it was really amazing. Was there anything else that really stuck out for you? Wait, well, there was the Jason and Sam thing at the end, which was super cute.
I know. I thought it was really cute that she was giving him advice on like to live free and change his life. And that,
Yeah.
she took off her ring and she was gonna go, oh my God, but when Dante said, okay, I know we're gonna need to move on. But when Dante said, honey, if you can't handle this life, like leave.
Yeah,
You
that exactly tipped everything over for me, and I was like, "You
I
are
was
terrible!" Like I
ah,
gasped.
so did I. I was absolutely shocked because like the way he
It's
held her
believable.
arms, exactly. I thought he was gonna say something nice. And then when he just took that cold tone and said it that, I was just like, holy shit.
Oh yeah, that's what I had. This is what I was thinking when I saw this, and I know it's a little mean, and I do hope he comes back to kind of wrap up whatever ends up happening with his relationship with Lulu. But in that
Mhm.
moment, I was thinking, if you can take some of that meanness into the ending of whatever it is with you and Lulu, because he's not coming back. So obviously that's going to have to wrap up at some point. I was like,
Yes.
that would be super cool. Like I would really like that. And it would be
Oh
good for
my
Lulu too,
God.
because if he does come back and wants a divorce and is really mean to her, it would sort of allow her, since she's the one back like staying in the show, to kind of be the, hurt party,
True. It would allow her to
allowing,
move
getting a
on.
little bit of the
Mhm.
sympathy a little bit.
True. Good
But
point.
yeah, so I was like, ooh, I like that. Bring it back. Bring back some of that meanness and throw it at Lulu. But yeah, no, I thought he did such an amazing job. Like that's what I mean. It's like all these characters, like you don't realize what goes into playing the character you see every day, and then you come in and you watch them do this, and you're like, oh my god, you guys are all amazing. Yeah, I really loved it, and I love that Diane's a rock star. Basically, no matter what universe, she can get any mobster off.
Oh, I love it.
So I really, really like that. But yeah, so I think that was about it. I like the whole random, thing with Sam when she was talking about the motorcycle, and she brought that up with Jason. So that
Yes.
was really cute. I was kind of hoping that like something was actually going to happen in that moment,
I know, because you're like, we're
that they
waiting
were
for
going to be
stuff to
bold or
happen.
something.
Exactly, because in like the regular episodes, they're like longing for each other. In this one, I thought they'd maybe kind of run away together, or like he'd grab her, or like there would be just this moment, you know?
Well, because it was so hard to see Jason as a pet, when I saw them have that moment and look at each other, I was thinking, okay, this makes sense. These two are secretly having an affair. But then it wasn't that. So
No, yeah, good
I really
point.
desperately just didn't want him to be that. But
Yeah,
whatever. So then Sunny wakes up, and I'm still thinking, why are you there? Why are you
me
there?
too.
Like for me, I was just like, seriously, just throw some Gatorade and aspirin at the situation and leave. Like there's seriously no point. Why did you need to stay there overnight with her?
I know. Oh, it's so don't get it. I don't
And we
get
still don't
his
know if she lives
intentions.
with her mom.
I'm pretty sure she does. She's a weirdo.
But oh, it's true. She lives in the hotel at the Metro Corp, but whatever. Yeah, I just thought that whole thing was really insane, and I just loved how he thinks. Well, you know what? His insane approach to this whole thing started when he wanted to confront the DA even though he knew it was a bad idea. And then he
Yeah.
comes back home with even more horrible ideas, but he's all, I've solved the whole situation. And I just love the way that Carly and Jason were looking at him like he was like seriously insane.
I know, like he's so bad at this. This is why he has people around him who can handle these things. He does not. He like Carly. I love when Carly said what she say. She was like something like basically, why do you think this is over? Like, why do you think because she has this that she's not gonna hit you harder
Yeah,
now for anything else that she can?
that she's over it because her mom's involved. She knows that her mom didn't pull the trigger.
Exactly. Like, how does he not think of this? Like, that's exactly what I was thinking the whole entire time.
Yeah, it was completely insane, and it's getting a little uncomfortable of how, it started even in that conversation when she walks away and is getting kind of mad at him, but it's getting uncomfortable how he seems to be sort of aligning with Margot and feeling sorry for her and connecting with her. It's getting really uncomfortable.
It is, especially when he went up to her room.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. Even when he was in the room with where Jason was there to kind of be the voice of reason, and he's all like, "Is she mad at me?" This is the first time I've seen these funny moments with Sunny and Carly, where Sunny, there you see their relationship, and he's just like, "Is she mad at me?" I'm like, "Is he serious? He's a really smart guy. You've known this girl for 20 years. You don't know why she might be mad at you, really?"
I know. I thought that was really funny too. I'm like, hello.
And then I rewatched this scene because when Carly goes into the elevator and gets really mad at him, was like, were you really about to take this woman's side? And I realized it was because he was trying to stop Carly from kind of like going too far. But I loved it when she like went after her at the Metro Court.
I know it was needed. She needs to hear the truth. She needs to know that what she is doing is wrong and she can't continue to do it.
She also needs to not stay in her hotel.
That's true.
What is wrong with her? She's staying in the hotel. She goes to have drinks, and I'm sorry. How often do we see Carly? She's always there. She owns the hotel.
Like, is there no other hotel in Port Charles or bar?
Because this is the
Because
fancy
between,
hotel. We know this is the
I
fancy hotel, but
know.
they're acting like it's the only one. So that I just find completely insane that she's staying there. But I just loved it. I just loved how we went from her being super smug. Like, could you believe this? So Sunny's feeling bad for this girl. This girl was like, oh, boo-hoo, my dad's dead for a bajillion years. You robbed me of all this. Seriously, do you wake up every single day thinking of this? Like, I just need to point out that even if she knew her father and he died, do you know how many people move on after that? And how is it this girl can't move on? It's just not normal. Like, even if she did know her dad and she's hanging on to it at this point, it's just, people lose things and you move on. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, if you compare her life and you compare it to, Carly's life or Sunny's life, they've had it a
Or
lot harder.
Michael's life.
Yeah.
Any character on the show have had
Or Charlotte's life has
huge.
even been harder than this girl. In the short like existence she has, even Spencer's life has been a hell of a lot more dramatic than this girl's life.
And they have lived and been like have found happiness and have moved on and
Oh,
like
I just can't. I just
back
can't even with her.
man.
Oh my God. But I did love when Sonny tried to point that out to her in the hotel room when he was just sort of
Yes.
saying, even though it bothered me that he stayed to kind of address her well-being, found that ridiculous. But I loved how he was like all standing behind her in his like deep voice. And he's just like, I'm gonna be walking around a free man and you're just gonna be in this prison that you've created for yourself. But she's crazy. So just let her be crazy. If there's nothing to find, then just leave her alone. Let her be
Yeah, just
insane.
let it be. I 100% agree. Like, stop like pushing the issue. Like, what do you want her to say? Like, I'm close this and I forgive you and move on with your life. Like, she's not gonna say that. She's not gonna move on. She's gonna do her own thing at her own time. Leave it alone.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm wondering. But at the same time, okay, so I was thinking it was getting really creepy how he was getting close to her. But then they have this
Yeah.
moment where he takes on the father role. And she's just like,
Right.
oh, really? You think my dad would want me to forget it? Yeah. Like, what's wrong with you? What parent would want this? What parent would want their child to torment themselves? Maybe your parents, I don't know. But I was just like, why is what he's saying so crazy to you? I mean, it might speak volumes as to why she thinks that, her reaction to him. But yeah, no, it was just way too much for me, but I'm hoping it ends there.
Me too. I want to see less and less interaction with her and Sunny. Like, I don't want to see that evolve or
It's
escalate into
scaring me
anything
a little
further.
bit that like
I know.
he's
And the
because
fighting with Carly, like, it's all kind of like setting things in motion that I really don't want to happen.
I know because he's never really done anything like this to Carly. Like he's never really, whenever he's gotten close to these DAs, he's never really been in a relationship, to my understanding. Plus, they just released their 20-year collection, so this would not be the time to start doing
Right?
stupid things like this. But you know what I kept
I
thinking?
think sure.
Because it would be so weird for him to cheat on Carly, because he usually cheats with her. I feel like it would just turn everyone's life upside down. But then I'm like, what would that mean if it turned life upside down? Because Jason would obviously be there consoling Carly, and I don't know, but I feel like since Jason's gotten back, they've just kind of shown Jason and Carly's relationship in such a different way. Like it's so tight and so close. And even
Yes.
Jason emphasizes this. So I don't know. Like if Sonny ever were to cheat on Carly, I kind of don't know what that means for Carly and Jason, given how intense their friendship has been since he's gotten back. Even though we know he's like into Sam and everything, it's just the way that their relationship is being presented. It makes you go like, all right, they're close. Okay, guys. Like,
That's a
we
really
get
good
it. We
point
get
too.
it.
That's a really
Yeah.
good point. And the other side to this that I'm thinking is maybe they want us to think this and be led down this path, but all that Sunny is going to be to Margot is a father figure.
Ew. I mean, I
I know
want
it's
that
weird. I'm
too.
not
And
saying
no,
like
but it
in a
makes sense.
I'm not saying in a like in a weird, creepy romantic way. I'm just saying like literally, maybe he's going to give her advice that she is eventually going to listen to and that,
No,
she's going to lean towards him for this guidance because she's obviously like a lost kid.
she is, and he did start doing that today. So that was the moment I was like, okay, he's taking on this strange father role with her. But I
Yeah.
don't know. It would have to come to a place where I don't hate her as much because I just find the whole thing weird. And even if he does have this platonic relationship with her, I don't see how it won't cause everybody else to worry about Sonny and his judgment. But whatever. And when she's yelling at Carly, and she's like, I'm going to prosecute anybody regardless of what they know about my family or not. So it's like, we're waiting. You're going to prosecute your mom?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I know she's debating it, but the fact that you're lecturing everybody else, I'm just thinking, so why don't you just do it? Like, what are you waiting for?
Okay, so let's take that as a lead into her interaction with Drew.
Awful. Awful. Awful.
I
Like, you know
could
what I mean?
not believe it. Like, if I could have thrown something at my TV, I would have, but I didn't want to break my TV.
I don't even think it would have made a difference if, let's say, if she even knew what he was going through with Oscar. She's just horrible. I think she would just use
No,
that against him.
exactly. Like, well, she kind of did. Like, not she didn't even know he was sick, but she turned it against him in terms of like knowing like who he is as a person and bonding with his son. Like, I feel like that was the direction she was going in earlier as to being a good father.
And
Even
why
though
does
she
this man not steal it back?
I know. I'm like, I don't understand. You have Curtis. You have so many people at your disposal. You can distract her downstairs. We all know where she stays. Like, why is this not being done? Like, do they want
And
to just
even
drag right?
And even funnier, if he does steal it, what is she gonna do about it? She can't tell the
I
public that
know.
she's been keeping it secret. So I think that you have I just think that it's a perfect thing to do. And I also think it would be fun for him if, let's say, he does do this with Curtis. I think it would definitely take his mind off Oscar.
Oh, okay. So you know how he gave him the trip to Fiji as his honeymoon trip, and he's being all
Yeah,
apologetic that he can't go to the wedding. Maybe Curtis, in return, is going to keep pushing this whole like, "What's going on with you, Margot? What's going on? Why do you keep talking about this stuff?" And then eventually he'll tell him, and maybe Curtis will just do it of his own without Drew asking. Like he's just going to do it.
I fingers crossed that he does. I mean, the guy's not psychic. Drew really needs to give him something for him to kind of know
Exactly.
this, and I don't know why he's withholding this information. I mean, if you're willing to tell him about your son, I don't see why you wouldn't be willing to tell him about this. He did already open up to Franco about it. But yeah, I just kind of wish in all of this, like I know that Drew doesn't have much interaction with Carly or Sunny anymore. I think he should
Hmm.
tell Sunny what she's holding over him. But
Yes, me
more
too.
than that, I kind of wish, because regardless of them not being close, I think Carly will always defend Drew no matter what, especially against Margot. And in that moment, I so badly wanted Carly to know what she was doing to Drew, because he can't seem to stand up to her in the way that he should. And I feel like just let Carly do it for you. Point and
Exactly.
shoot, okay? Use her, point and shoot, direction to Margot, and give her some of what she's giving him. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I really wish Carly knew what she was really up to.
Oh, it would be such a beautiful scene.
So, okay. So, Curtis, like you said, you're hoping that Curtis will pick up on things and push and push and push. I feel like Curtis is maybe picking up on a little bit more as well. So, he asked Nina to be his best person, and then comes to find out that little Miss Sasha is getting closer and closer to Nina and in more in her world.
Yes, the look on his face was
Mm-hmm.
priceless because he has gut instinct and he should like I don't know if he's putting two and two together. Like she was saying, "Oh, Curtis found you." He's like, "Well, it was Valentine who hired
He said he was
Curtis."
the
Or like,
brains of the operation. I was like, you have no idea how true that is.
exactly, exactly. So maybe he'll do some digging. I'm hoping so for Nina's sake because Sasha just irritates me.
Yeah, like he loves Nina, and I hope that that look he gave her and all of that, whatever he's feeling, is enough for him to pursue it a little bit more, especially because she was just so adamant about not wanting to be in her life, and all of a sudden it's just like, I'm fine working in the same office as you, day in, day out.
I know. I think it's weird. And then when Nina's gonna find out she's living at the hotel, I know something else is gonna happen for sure.
Anyways, so okay, so we're definitely not the only ones who are just sort of fed up and hoping Curtis will sort of figure this out, just so she knows who she's dealing with in terms of Sasha and Valentine. So Neil and Anthony feels the same way. She's like, she's hoping that Curtis will save her from Sasha and Valentine. And like me, she's like, I had mad love for him, but now not so much. Same thing. I was really rooting for Valentine until I found out what he did to Nina. But at the
Hmm.
same time, I just find it funny because it's weird because like Valentine was just sort of on top of the world in a way. Even though he had lost Nina, he still sort of had built respect from other people until Laura. So for the time being, at least we have Laura that follows him around, constantly trying to shame him
Yes.
and constantly trying to torture him. So
I
that is
love
like
it.
my absolute favorite right now. So at least that's happening. And some other people, okay, so I'm gonna say I love this person because I share the same opinion. So Honey Me 31748 on Instagram says, I sure hope so. Kiki needs to wear the necklace, the other half of that necklace. So
Oh my God.
yeah,
I really feel that that's going to happen. Like, I just trying to figure out where because does she know Jordan? Like, would she go to that wedding? Would she be part of that? Because I think that would be the perfect situation because Sasha's not going to be there. And let's say she was invited to this fancy ordeal and she wears her necklace.
I'm just trying to think who would invite her.
Who would she be
But that,
connected?
oh, she's friends with TJ.
Oh, so maybe
She's
that's
friends
because
with
that's how I
TJ.
see it. Like, that's kind of where I see it happening and would be like an ideal situation.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, it was just funny when the whole thing started. They were just like, "Oh, DNA, it's 99.9%." They made a point of saying like how important and accurate that was. But then we go on to see Nina just obsessing over this necklace. We're like, how does this make any sense? How do you like find the other half of a necklace or find out the story behind it? Like, I just don't think it's possible. And so
I
then it became
know.
clear that the necklace would have been the clue that whoever wears it is obviously her daughter. And then somebody else suggested something, and at first I was like, that's crazy. But then I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. But Marianne0410 was suggesting that what if DA Margot was Nina's daughter?
Oh, I would not like that.
Well, I don't see her getting along with Margot at all. But then when she said that, I know
Did
we'll
you
talk
start
about them
thinking?
later. No. I
Okay.
didn't Google anything. But then Miss Tate happened to be new. And then I'm like, well,
Yes.
what if it's Miss Tate? But, anyways, I would prefer it to be somebody who's already on the canvas. I would prefer it to be Kiki. But who knows? There is all these new people, and we don't know if it could be any of them because I do think the daughter is real. I do think the child is
I
real.
do. I
So it's just
agree
about
as well.
I just think it's about figuring out who it is. So okay, so we're talking about how like Sasha's all a little much. How what did you
A
think?
little extra.
A little extra. How did you think of her reacting to Kiki confronting her? One, I'm proud of Kiki for having
Me
confronted
too.
her and being so tough about it and really setting her boundaries and kicking her butt out even after they cleared the air about Griffin. But I mean, this girl is showing herself.
Oh my God, like she is Ava. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I'm listening to her, like, what does it matter, even if they were just friends with benefits? You just found out that this person is your half sister, and that even though she's quote unquote with this guy or whatever it is you may think, this is the appropriate person to make a move on.
Oh,
Like,
but I'm sorry. It was so funny because I was like, okay, let's see what this Sasha girl is made of. How crazy is she? So I'm waiting for her to spin this web of lies, and then Kiki would be like, "Oh, whoops, sorry, didn't think." But then it
yeah.
didn't happen. It was just hilarious. She was like, "Oh no, you completely misunderstood me. I was hitting on the guy you're casually sleeping with, not your boyfriend." I was just like, what? What is happening right now?
Oh
I thought that was so ridiculous. ridiculous. And then she was mad at her because she got kicked out. I was just like, okay,
I
first
know,
of
like
all, like, I don't know if you should be making this many waves, because the whole idea is you're supposed to keep a low profile, because if somebody starts looking into her, the whole thing's going to be blown.
exactly. So her reaction to the whole being kicked out thing, like throwing it back to Kiki, saying like, "Oh, you must be really insecure about your relationship." I was like, "Wow, just take it and suck it." And then her getting mad at Ava, like, what what right do you think you have at this point in time to yell at Ava of your own stupidity?
So that confused me, because I'm like, you're yelling at Kiki, so I'm thinking, all right, whatever. But then when you go yell at Ava, it sounds like you're feeling bad for Kiki. It sounds like you're more on Kiki's side. So it was just
It sounds like
odd.
she's
She's just shitting on
crazy.
everybody. She's just getting mad at everyone. But I was just like, look, look, maybe you should have Googled Port Charles first to know that everybody, first of all, you got introduced to your family, who you find out is all a little bit, there's a huge story to everything, and everything's really dramatic. But maybe you should have looked up the crime rate before you decided to move there, and who's responsible for that crime rate. But if this woman was able to come to you, know who you were, knew how to use you, knew what seeds to plant, which you followed all of her little crumbs, you think this is the person to walk up to and start yelling at? I mean, I know you're lured into a false sense of security because you're all in this hotel and she looks all, oh, like a person and a lady, and she's drinking a drink. She is crazy. She's crazy. You pissed her off and she put drugs. She doesn't even know what they do. She didn't even get the full name of the drug from Kevin. She doesn't know any of the side effects. And she's like, it's going in your soup.
That's so true. I didn't even think of that. She's just like, all right, I got these pills. Let's just break them open.
But I didn't know what her plan was. I was, because at first I'm like, oh no, are we going back? Is this like classic soap opera? She's gonna drug her and then find a way to get Griffin in that room.
That's what I was thinking.
But then I'm like, you can't plan that. You can't plan to spontaneously drug someone's soup and then everything just magically falls into place.
This is Port Charles, though.
Well, it's Ava also, but I'm just like, what are those huge pills that
Oh,
he gave her out of like
like
nowhere?
heavy
He's like not her
sedatives.
doctor anymore, so that makes it even more wrong. He's like, here,
I
friend,
don't know.
here's some of my drugs. Like, what?
Sample drugs that I received that I think will be super helpful. Like, hello, Ava, clue in for Christ's sake. So yeah, okay. So I think there's a multitude of things that could happen, and I'm just in soap opera brain right now. So she could hire somebody that looks like Griffin to lay in the bed with her. She could just be drugging her because she's upset and she knows that she's not really gonna die because she's just drugging her to go to sleep. But that's weird. It's like you're just gonna give her a good night's sleep. I don't get it.
And no anxiety.
Like I need that. Be mad at me. Like I don't know.
Okay, so when you're asking before if I thought like Dante was being all bad boy, now I think maybe I know why I was reacting all weird to the scene with Ryan and Ava, because I kept telling you like these two would make an interesting couple, but then when I saw them all interact, I was just like, why do I feel all weird? What's happening right now? Why is this so weird? And I'm just like, I don't know. I guess it's odd because it's like Kevin's being hotter, but at the same time, it's not Kevin, and it's super weird to the public that Kevin is like with Ava, because imagine Laura seeing this. And I don't know. There were so many things happening, and I couldn't concentrate when I
Oh my
was
god.
watching them together.
And you're so funny. Did you notice that we were like jumping a little bit, but when he ordered his Bloody Mary, I almost like spit out my water.
I know, and I'm just like, okay, so he stopped sessions with you. You're all like, I miss you. You know, can I buy you a drink now? What does she think is happening? That he just couldn't stay objective because she's so awesome? Or are you not picking up on the fact that maybe he wants something more? Do you want something more? Or do you just think I would love to have Kevin as a friend because he thinks my anger is cool? I'm so confused as to what she thinks is happening, because she's not dumb.
She's not, but I think she's a little blinded by the fact that somebody actually sees her as a person, as opposed to like evil Ava, or you did something to me. Like she hasn't done anything to Kevin. She doesn't have that animosity towards him. He's really kind of kind to her and is supportive of her weirdness. And I don't think she knows how to make sense of all of that.
Well, we know that to Ava, Julian doesn't count as a man or as a person who's kind to her. So this
As a
probably
brother,
does, yeah. So this probably does mean a lot to her. Like when she was saying how like Morgan meant a lot to her, and that like Griffin, and then she was like, you don't count. He's like, but I like you and I accept you for who you are. But we know that it means a lot for, I guess, for Kevin to care about her. But I just think, you know, it's just amazing. Like Kevin is hiding behind this title of his, and so far it seems to be working out for him. But I don't don't know. Maybe I'm being delusional.
Mhm.
Maybe it's wishful thinking. But did you think that for maybe a split second that Jordan was onto Kevin?
Oh my God. Okay. Like I kept wavering. I kept like, because she would say these like very pointed things and then she'd kind of retreat a little bit. And then she'd say something else and then she'd kind of retreat, is what it felt like in the scene. It almost felt like a game of like chess or something. And he's like
Yeah.
saying, keep me apprised of everything in the investigation. And then she's like, yeah, of course I will. But yes, it did feel like she was like testing the waters. But how would she know? It's just like, how would that make sense? How would they come to that conclusion?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, it would blow my mind that the PCBD would have solved this. It would
I
seriously
know.
blow my mind. But I don't know. Like, I just have such faith in this new Jordan that she'll be able to figure it out. But I just love like Curtis. Like when he sees what she's working on, he's like, "You're not still thinking that Carly's a suspect, are you?" It's like even he has to point out, "Come on, guys, use your brain a little bit. You know, follow your gut and
I
try to
love
like
it.
use common sense." So I mean, they're not looking at Carly and they're finally done because they don't have any other ideas. But it's just kind of like to them, they're just baffled that somebody outside of the main criminals they know could commit a crime. That they're just like, no, there couldn't possibly be a serial killer because Sunny is here and Julian is here and it just and Abe is here. So I mean, I just think it makes sense at this point to accept that it's a professional and that it's a serial killer and it's not your mob war thing, that it's just like a real person who enjoys murder. You did go to Franco, so you obviously have some sense that it's that more so than it being mob related.
True. And then, okay, so what did you think of, speaking of Franco, his interaction with Kevin at the hospital?
Part of me was like, okay, is Franco just playing along? I'm sorry, it makes no sense that somebody would tell you, oh, no, 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 no. Don't find a way to channel your pain and past experiences of things you regret to then help other people. No one
Shut it
says
down.
that. So I mean, sometimes I think, sometimes I think that he's onto him just because,
Mhm.
we know Franco to be like no nonsense. He often, I find, says things that reflect the random thoughts I feel like the audience has when we're watching, and he breaks that soap opera mold with the things that he says. So sometimes I feel like he's catching on, but then I'm like, really? Really, is Kevin really winning this thing? Is Ryan really convincing Franco of this? I mean, he's got other things going on, so I can see him just tossing it aside. But I don't know. I'm a little disappointed. Because I thought there was a flicker, a moment where I could see Franco being like, "No, this doesn't make any sense," and I'm just gonna like play along.
I did too. Like, I feel like I keep thinking that he's the one that's going to figure this out since he has the experience and the knowledge, and he said he can put himself in the brain of a murderer.
Yeah,
But
when
I
you're
think that, sorry, go ahead.
no, but it's just like when you're saying if I were to work with the police, they would catch him and like nobody else would be murdered. And Kevin's pretty much like, no, let the police handle it. Let some people get murdered along the way. It just takes some time to solve it.
Just have a little murder happen in the city. It's all right. It's all good.
As long as you're feeling great, Franco, I think everybody will understand.
Yeah, that was so weird. So like I'm just hoping that like Franco, Jordan, I mean anybody at this point in time, like I just don't know where this can go next. Like because all everybody is alluding to is that there's going to be another murder.
Yeah,
And I
I
don't want
don't
that to
want
happen.
that. I
Unless it's
don't
like
want murder
another
either.
rando, like a rando or something, but I don't think that's going to be the case because it has to be big in order for it to take the case to the next level.
And that's sort of the whole debate. A lot of people think, I mean, there's people like us who want Kiki to be Nina's daughter, but then there's other people who think that Kiki is going to die and that'll be her exit off the show. But there's
Ugh.
no way I want that for Nina to have a
Oh
daughter and then
gosh.
find out that she died. It's kind of like Monica's story that she told Kim. Oh, my daughter survived cancer, but then she got murdered. I'm just like, oh my gosh,
Oh my God, I
what
know.
a
I forget how
terrible conversation.
depressing. I always forget how depressing her life has been until she shoots out these like one or two things, and you're just like, holy crap, how are you the one standing?
I know, and like let's like get into that because Kim comes to this town and she's legitimately normal. Like she's had a normal life,
Mhm.
kind of like Margot, sort of. She has a normal life. And then you come to Port Charles, and it's so funny how as Kim has gone integrated, she gets to know people, and then she finds out like their crazy life story, and the poor thing. She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, and she's hearing these stories constantly. But watching her react to Monica is just amazing. It's just like, and I thought my life was hard. It's like no matter what you're experiencing, Monica is like, I've been there. I've been in exactly the same situation, but 10 times worse.
Oh my God. Yeah, like I'm gonna like, don't worry, I got you. Listen to this story.
But I love when Monica heard what they were talking about. She's like, "Excuse me, what?" And it's like, I love it. Like in that moment, you know that she's
Yeah.
about to go get Oscar and be like, "Hell no, 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 no! I'm a Quartermain. I get what I want, and we're just gonna make sure that we settle this."
Okay, so like when she finds out and she goes to Charlie's pub and she just like puts the
Dying,
money on the counter and walks away
dying.
with him like I didn't know what to say. I just laughed. I was just like, "Wow, Oscar, you're a real grown up now. Like, I don't get it. Like, what's your deal?" Grandma comes along, pays your boss money, and then you just like walk away. You don't even
Well,
look back at your boss.
no, like right after he has that meeting with Alexis, and he's like, "Wait, I need to know my medical insurance, but I just need to make medical decisions, Alexis, not know my medical insurance." And then he's like, "No, no, no, I got this. I can handle this." And I love it. I thought all I had to do was move out. Yeah, that's all you have to do to make adult decisions: move out and then not pay taxes, not do anything, not understand anything, just have a room at a cult institution or place or whatever. I just thought it was so ridiculous that he's trying to be this adult, and then it's like, Nana's here, and he runs right out of his job.
I thought it was so funny, but it's so like you're a kid, like face facts, you're a kid, your grandma came to spend the day with you, you're super excited, you love your grandma. Just like let that sink in.
I know. And I think, I mean, it's exactly what I think it is last week. It's just that this is really distracting. It just kind of sucks though, because if you really are running out of time, you're really wasting it a lot. And I mean, this is where, again, it is what it is. Kim made the decision she made, but had she told him 2 years earlier, he could have been in a place where he would have been way more receptive to what you wanted him to do at this point in time. Sucks, you can't really go back. But what did you think when Julian overhears her confidential discussion with Oscar and comes over to talk to her?
Oh my god. Okay, so I get what he's trying. I get what he's saying to her, but like I don't know. I don't know. He's like on behalf of Kim. Like I just don't think he should have said that.
Well, they have a weird relationship. But the thing
You
is he gonna
know.
tell Kim? Is he
Well,
gonna
this is
tell
the
Kim
thing.
that Alexis?
Exactly.
Like the one thing
Exactly.
that can make her feel better is he gonna take this information and tell Kim like Alexis is really making like shoving things in Oscar's face in a really blatant way, trying to get him to understand what it is that he's doing. It's just so stupid. It's so stupid, those two. I just love it. I love how Julian is privy to the whole client lawyer confidentiality thing. It's amazing.
I know. So does he think it's part of the contract? Like he's not allowed to tell Kim because this is part of the confidentiality? Like do they not even
Maybe because I would, because like I mean he like Julian has evolved in this way where he like has these moments of being wise and he's really good to Kim and he's really there to make her feel better. I'd like to think that there's this professionalism that is what's keeping him from making her feel better. Like, it's just
Oh
so
my gosh.
stupid.
I know. It is absolutely ridiculous and hilarious.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Okay. I mean, I know we already talked about Drew's memories, but I thought it was really weird that because I never really thought about it this way. They're like Drew's memories are always in the context of they're Jason's and he has memories of crime. But it is kind of weird that he has these odd memories of Emily and like grief,
Right.
but no idea who she is. And his
That is
daughter's named after her. It's just so weird. I felt so bad for him in that moment.
I did too. Like when he said that, and it was just sometimes he just like does this heartfelt face. Like he often has the same expression, but in this specific moment, for whatever reason, I felt exactly the same way. I was like, it is weird. It is very, very strange that you could feel so intensely about this person that you never even known, but you don't know your past.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know his past, and then he always talks about how important that is. But sometimes I just feel like he doesn't realize that he has a life right now, and he has a good life right now. And I just think it's really hard for him because we don't know what will happen in the procedure. And we're basically having this
Exactly.
conversation again because Kim went through this whole thing of not wanting him to do it. And now she's faced with like her son who doesn't want treatment
Oh
and
my
this one who
gosh,
wants to do
seriously.
this crazy experimental treatment. She's like, what is wrong with all of you? But
Seriously,
anyways,
just everybody stand still and do what they're supposed to do.
so Kim obviously has had some time, and then she was talking to Drew about, what she had tried to do, that she was so desperate that she was going to go to Joss for help and basically ask a teenager to sort of solve her problems. But then Monica makes a point of telling her, well, ultimately that's what helped her daughter. It was the person she was in love with who got her
Mhm.
to change her mind. So, I mean, I don't know how this is going to work because at what point is Joss going to find out, really? She's having a
I
good time.
know. It's gonna be soon though. I mean, I thought it was like that whole interaction when they went in for breakfast, I think it was. You know what I thought about though? Because like she went for breakfast, Carly had this whole conversation, and then she was getting I forget what her name is, ready for school. I'm like, wow, they get a lot done before they go to work and school, all
I
this stuff.
know. Do you know how many people go to the Metro Court for breakfast or run errands before they go to work?
Yeah,
I
I
think
was really impressed.
it's really incredible how much they get done. So, do you think Joss knew that Oscar worked there? Because she
No, I
suddenly was
really,
hungry. She's like, let's go get food. And I'm like, okay, is she going to try to see Oscar because she didn't find out from Kim what was going on with him?
I kind of thought that, but like her reaction was just so like stunned that I
Hmm.
didn't believe that she knew that he was there.
I just, I just loved it. Like in that moment when you see like Oscar staring at Cameron and Joss, I was just kind of
Mhm.
like, Oscar, I mean, consequences, consequences, meet Oscar, because
Right?
it was just, this is what you did and you got to leave it alone. And the fact that he's so mean with Cameron, being like,
Oh,
seriously, you and Joss. And I loved Cameron's response to him because he was very, very honest. And he just basically said, nothing's going on right now. We're hanging out, but I can't promise you this is not going to turn into something. And I was like, well, yeah, the guy doesn't owe you anything. He did everything you wanted. He lied to someone he cared about for you, and he's going to suffer the consequences when everything comes out.
oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, he's going to hang out with her.
And enjoy the time he has. No, no, I definitely agree. Like he does not have to be like that with him.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I just think the whole thing's ridiculous, and I mean, I don't even know if that's gonna do anything for him. I don't know when he's gonna start accepting the reality of the situation. Like for him, the only reality that exists is I need to fight my parents and I need to do this court case. He's not registering anything else really.
I know. It's like, is Joss going to be that person, or is it Monica that's going to be the person? Who's going to be the one that lets him know
At one
that
point, I thought it
reality
was
needs
gonna
to
be
set in?
Christina. I mean, I like obviously Monica now because she went to go talk with him. But you know what? I kind of feel like the one person who could is Jason.
I think so too. And I would really like if he was the one that did that.
Well, he started the job. He started getting him to think about things, and I think that he might need Jason to ground him a little bit.
And I like that it would just create further bonds for the two of them. Like I like the direction that would take if he survives all this, which I think he will, and then create kind of that relationship with his uncle, and maybe bring Jason and Drew like together.
Exactly. That's why I think that if Jason plays this crucial role that gets Oscar into this more rational place and gets him back to himself, that, maybe him and Drew, like, I think that would be huge. And I think that would be enough for Drew to kind of put everything aside, put the memories aside, and try
Mm,
to look at him as family. I think, anyways, that would be the thing that could really make them bond.
yes, I would like to see that.
Okay, so just like okay, we'll get to your favorite person in a sec, Finn. But
Okay.
first, I just want I'm just gonna give one nod, and then never again to this topic because the wedding is supposedly gonna happen soon. But when Curtis
Okay.
walks into Charlie's and shows the ring, and Stella
Oh
says
God.
this. Any woman would be proud to wear that ring. I'm like, her name is Jordan. It's not any woman. It's not all women. He bought the ring for Jordan. I was just like, oh my gosh. But you know what? I was kind of happy that that happened in front of Mike because she's never shown fully that side of herself. She's expressed her frustration and the fact that she's challenged, she can't get over this one thing. But for him to see her be all cold, it was just really an interesting thing for Mike to see. And who knows? Me, I think Mike will convince her to go to the wedding because I think he'll
Oh,
just want to get all dressed up.
exactly, 100%. I think it's going to be him because he loves love and he likes Stella. And he's just at this point in his, I don't know if it's his Alzheimer's or his personality, where he just kind of like says what he observes. Like he's not bullshitting, he's not hiding anything. He just like says what he feels.
I think that's Mike. I think that's Mike for sure.
Yeah. So I definitely think he's the one that's going to get her to go and get through to her.
Okay, so your man friend Finn has been through a lot this week. He had to go through a horrible presentation, and he also got an insane letter. So what do you think about that? Like from
Okay, so
Hayden?
here's the thing.
Oh, do you
I'm
even
not
know about
sure
that?
that's no. See, and I tried to like, and I was gonna ask you about that. Even like made a mental note of like, please ask Mish about backstory. So they
She's pregnant
explained
with
a
his
little bit.
baby.
Okay, but then did the baby like not survive or
She
like?
told him that, but the baby did.
No.
She left when she was
Oh,
pregnant. Like they were engaged. I really liked them together. Hayden turns out is Elizabeth's half sister.
no.
And it was really funny because they hated each other and they were starting to bond. So basically Elizabeth found out that like her dad basically cheated related with Hayden's mom. So that was like a really fun storyline. I really loved Hayden. I really, really did. So it kind of sucked that she wasn't there. So yeah, so basically the whole letter thing has me wondering, and I'm hoping he kind of goes to meet her. I know it's really awkward given that he's with Anna, but if there is unfinished business, I mean, they're pretty open, and she kind of travels and does all these things. So I don't know. I kind of hope he goes and meets her, and I'm hoping that he comes back with the baby.
Oh my God, I had no idea. Okay, so I agreed. He should go and see her, figure that whole situation out. But I was just like, I think he did really well at, I liked the scene of like her saying, like, I'm not jealous. I think it was awkward that he read the letter out loud,
She
but
wanted him to. And she's all sitting there
I
like,
know.
I don't care. I'm your lady. Read the letter from your ex-girlfriend. Don't care. She totally did though. Like there's a part of her that didn't care that was being his
Yeah.
friend, but then she sort of was obviously like bothered by the whole thing.
And then I like when she said, which I thought was so sweet, and I just love the way she said it. Okay, she's like, "Why don't you read to me the part that you didn't say out loud, or
I
what about the
know.
part that you didn't read out loud?" And then
I
he's like,
know.
he kind of looked at her like, "How did you know?" She's like, "Well, when you care about somebody, you pay attention to them, so you know what they're feeling." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's so sweet."
They are really cute, but it's just hard for me because I really liked him with Hayden, but I don't really think she's coming back to the show or anything like that. But
Okay.
so okay, so there's that, and then there was his other stress, which I thought was hilarious. So when he's freaking out to Anna, when Anna was like she wanted to kill Britt, which I thought was hilarious, and then it turns out he was nervous for a third grader presentation
Oh my God, he was so
for
cute then. I just
career
wanted to
day.
hug him. Like I just love his little vest.
It's so adorable, but I really didn't know that career day would have been like this huge thing. Like they had like the CEO of ELQ, which apparently is the one company in Port Charles, showed up. And your one social worker also showed up. Like the city would have been shut down. Like they had
I
some
know,
really good
right?
presentations.
Okay, but how did you feel? Like I'm jumping a little bit, but how did you feel when Michael starts his presentation? He's like, "What does ELQ do?" And I'm like, "What the
No
hell does
idea.
ELQ do?"
I have no idea. I had no idea, and I was like listening. I was actually genuinely curious, and I'm like, I am learning things about ELQ right now. But I was just like, pumpkin science. I thought it was like doc. I don't know anything about finance, but I'm like, you do stocks and like numbers, and I don't know what you do. But I certainly didn't think it was planting things or science.
So that blew my mind. I
That
really
was
did.
so interesting. Okay, I'm sorry, but I died. Like I died when Lulu was talking to them about being a journalist. Like, what are you gonna tell them? Run a nightclub and then one day decide you want to write an article and that's how you become a journalist. Like I just thought it was super funny that she was teaching them how to be a journalist. And I'm like, okay. And I just loved it when she was going through all the major questions of who, what, where, when. I'm like, is that your formal training into journalism? Just like not
I
sure.
know.
I thought the presentations were super funny. Oh, and I love Stella. That's what I mean. She has two sides to her, like not going to the wedding, Stella, and then she puts on a superhero t-shirt.
I know. I loved it. I love the way she presented being a social worker. Like it really, because they do a lot of depressing stuff,
Yeah,
and
they do a
she's
lot
just
of hard
like,
stuff.
they do, and I love the way it was like written and presented. It was beautiful.
All I know is that I would have been like Finn. Like if I was doing career day, I would totally not have thought to do all these like cool
I know.
presentations the way she did, the way Michael did, and then like Chase brings in a dog. And I was just
Okay.
laughing. This guy is like a freaking cartoon. Like even Michael was all entertained when Chase stormed into the door. It was funny. If you watch Michael's narrative, he's like, oh, he's adorable. Like he's just a cartoon, and I'm just laughing how they show Finn and him kind of the same but different. Like bursting in, one bursts in all happy and not really nervous and doesn't care that they're interrupting, and the other one's doing the same thing but freaking out.
True, but let's just take a moment right here.
Uh huh.
Chase in his uniform.
I know, right? Pause. 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 Pause.
Let's just all take a minute right now to just re-remember that moment. And don't lie, we all paused our TV and
We
then
all
we continued.
paused.
Okay.
We all paused our TV, and then we were all kind of like, was she blind? Why is she just not saying yes to this guy?
I know.
But we kind of know though, because it's like she's all asking Michael for seeds, and she's all
I
staring at him during her
Is this like a
presentation.
metaphor? Is it a metaphor?
I don't even know because it's like okay, if you notice, she pursues Michael,
Hmm.
and Chase really is chasing her. Like he really like pursues her, and she's just like whatevs. So I don't even know what to think, and I mean she's willing to date him, but she also seems, I don't know, she seems to have something more real with Michael.
I think so too. And if yeah, I think that I definitely see like a far more real connection, and like Chase
Hmm.
is just like puppy kind of chasing around.
Do you know what I also noticed about Michael? He's just so, he like doesn't care. Like he's not going to compete, and it's just funny. Like I don't even think he sees Chase as a competition.
No,
I don't
he
think that he would
doesn't.
see, I don't think he would see any other guy as a competition. Like he's kind of really cool about it.
He's very laser focused, and nothing else matters. Because I think it's like if she likes me, she likes me. If she doesn't, she doesn't.
Yeah, like I noticed that about him. Like I mean, I'm sure you could tell that Chase is a little interested in her, but he shows back up, and it's just you don't catch that at all. Like whenever Michael interacts with her, it's like nobody else is there.
Yeah,
And Chase really doesn't exist. So I don't really know what's gonna happen there. She's clearly building something with Michael, and Chase is just sort of whatever, is what it seems like for now.
I agree. So, do you want to lead into our lovely Charlotte, or do we want to take this?
So it all started. So it looks like they've been planting the seeds for this for some time now, because it was weeks ago when Lulu went to go talk to Nina about,
Yes.
Charlotte's assertiveness. And then last week when she was talking to Miss Tate, that like Charlotte ignored her in Kelly's. And
Yes.
then we see her being so mean to poor Aiden. Oh
I
man, I
couldn't
felt
believe it.
so bad.
I was just like, that girl's a jerk. That's all I could.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like overall in the show, she's always been portrayed as, she's super polite, she's super nice. But I mean, yeah, I was kind of taken aback. But she's a rich
Oh,
girl, like I don't know, like I don't know what to think. Like, do you want to go right away into that awful, awful parent teacher meeting?
okay, but before we go there, when you were saying like they were kind of setting everything in motion earlier on, there was also that scene when Laura got her a birthday present, and she was kind of mean about the fact that she got her a doll.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they were so
Huh.
subtle, and that's like sometimes you don't realize, like, they really thought about these things, and
I
you
know,
wrote it
right?
in advance, and not the day before. And so, yeah, there was a lot of seeds planted. Big theme for career day, all the seeds, but they were there. And then we just see this whole other side of Charlotte that we haven't seen, because we do see her.
Yeah.
We see this girl, and I don't know what to make of all this. And then we saw how Nina behaved at this
Yes.
meeting.
Oh dear
So
Lord.
I don't know. I just thought it was super funny because the actress had to, like, she actually made a statement on Twitter to like state very clearly that she does not agree with her character or anything that she said.
Oh,
Well, it just sucks because some people just don't know the difference between like her, the actress, and the
that's
character.
true.
It was really funny, but she made a point of saying that part of the reality is that you do have some parents that are completely unwilling to hear anything that deviates from how they feel about their child, and that's the role that she is portraying in this whole scenario. But yeah, that's probably the one moment I was pretty disappointed in Nina. Like, I don't even think I felt this way when
No.
she stole Ava's baby straight out of her. I don't even think I felt that way. But when I saw her go after the teacher and say, "Are you a parent?" I was just sort of like,
Oh.
whoa, this is not Nina given her history. I just couldn't even believe that she asked that.
I was surprised too at her reaction. I completely did not expect that. I know that she loves Charlotte, and she's very passionate when she loves somebody, and she takes that to like the next level. But yeah, I didn't think it was appropriate given her situation, given the fact that she just discovered that she had a daughter. I don't know, I just thought it was like completely out of line, and that, them graciously ushering her out of the room and her actually walking away was a very good thing.
Yeah, and at least like she has a decent enough relationship with Lulu that that didn't wasn't compromised by the meeting at all. But what I thought was really interesting, and I don't know if she was projecting, but the fact that she was wanting to hold on so badly to this idea of Charlotte made me wonder if maybe her gut is telling her something about Sasha, and she's fighting really hard to hold on to a lie.
Ooh, yeah, because she actually
Ooh.
referred to Charlotte as like she's like Charlotte's or my daughter, but she says my
Yes,
daughter
it's
so
true.
and she says it so naturally and instinctively with Charlotte, whereas Sasha, no.
Because what I was thinking was that maybe I am more right than I think. Because when she said my daughter, I was like, maybe she is referring to Sasha and she doesn't know it. But obviously, we know that she sees Charlotte like her daughter too. But yeah. Do you know what was really funny and really telling in that situation? I can't believe I'm saying this given how Valentine has been acting. And even before that scene, he was pretty mean with Nina saying, like, I'm not telling you what's going on with Charlotte, and storms off. But out of everyone, he sort of handled that meeting the best. He was the only one that was willing to hear Miss Tate. He was the only, I'm sorry. Every time I say Miss Tate, I'm thinking Miss Tater Tot in my mind. I have to admit, I'm warming up to her, but at first I didn't like her, so I was calling her
Me
Miss
too.
Tater Tot in my mind. Um, so he was the only one willing to hear her out, and he was the only one really like getting all the facts, and you could see him as like a regular parent, like, wait till I get home and I see Charlotte, so he was believing everything that she was saying. And the funny thing is, Lulu's reaction was like, when she said something like, oh, there are no consequences. It's an interesting thing that she kept saying. Charlotte doesn't seem to think there's any consequences with everything, and I think intuitively she turns and looks at Valentine like it's his fault right away, and that's Lulu. Nothing's her fault. She heard the negative thing, and then
Exactly.
she turned right away and looked at him. But what I think is really interesting is that I'm wondering if the whole no consequences thing, and I'm wondering how much Nina has impacted Charlotte. Yes, Charlotte has had a really bad life, but just given the scenario, all the roles everybody took on, the fact that Nina attacked the teacher, and it's not bullying, but she did attack her. And there have been
Oh.
recent experiences where she's like, Lulu, can I buy her this really expensive dress? And then she takes her shopping, and we've shown her with Nina, buying her expensive things and
Mm-hmm.
having like a fancy relation. Like, I mean, she has a good relationship with Nina, but it's always on the fancier end and all this stuff. And I'm just wondering if in the end, maybe Nina might be not realizing that she's contributing to it. So I don't know what will be the bottom of this. We all know Charlotte's had a really, rough life, but I just thought it's a really interesting not basic, but basic normal everyday storyline given to very dramatic people like Valentine dealing with this day to day.
That's so true, but that's a very good comparison with Nina. I didn't even think of that until you brought that up, but all of those like similarities, and like you said, like there's a lot of other influences in Charlotte's life, but that comparison with like Nina Charlotte is like pretty dead on.
Well, it's because the teacher wouldn't stop repeating. She doesn't seem to think that any consequences apply to her. And even though Lulu looked at Valentine, and yeah, she's grown up privileged in a sense, but I feel like that's just as of late. Because prior to this, she was separated from Valentine. She thought this other woman was her mother, and then she finds out she had another mother. So I feel like she was recently privileged, but we've seen Valentine with her. He's always been very, I don't know, hands on, and he hasn't seemed to really spoiled her. Like, if anything, he seems to put a lot of pressure on her to be polite.
Yes, like I don't think he's, yeah, I definitely agree with you. He's more about being like a person as opposed to the rest.
So yeah, so that was really insane, but I'm just sort of like, okay, so you're going through this super dramatic thing, and even like Elizabeth still lost. How do we
Oh my
figure this out?
God.
And I'm just like, okay, right, the first meeting she said, also another clue that it was Charlotte, because she goes, isn't his cousin Charlotte in the class when
Yeah.
she first got brought in? So I'm just saying, like, if you find out your kid's being bullied and he's having a lot of trouble, I'm just wondering, wouldn't you be like, I'm gonna call Lulu and I'm
Hey.
gonna find out if Charlotte knows anything about this?
Oh my God, any normal person would.
I love how you say it like that. Well, the storyline would probably be over if they were more direct in that way.
Right.
But I just think, like, before we get to like Elizabeth with like versus Lulu, like them, like at the one of the last scenes from Friday, I just thought it was funny because okay, so Franco obviously takes Aiden in and to do all this art stuff, and he's excited to draw, and then the camera goes to Elizabeth, and she's all looking at Franco like this was a great idea, and I don't know, I just kind of laughed that she's like this was a great idea of like trying to talk to him and parent him. I was just like, what's wrong
I
with
know, like,
you?
thank God for Franco. Like, honestly, like, I know she has three kids and everything like that, but Franco, for somebody who didn't want kids, who is around them all the time, he's so invested in them and wanting to be an important person to them. He's so the normal one. How is the psycho murderer the normal one?
He does treat them like equals, and he does try to just have a, he respects them and allows them to talk, and yeah, and is just basically trying to relate and connect with them. Aside from this, of course, I know it's a serious story. I want to get to the bottom of what's going on with Aiden for sure. But when they started talking to him and he just really wanted money to go to the vending machine, I just feel like Elizabeth has spent a lot of her life at the hospital sending her kids to the vending machine. Like, I don't know how many times
So
over the
true.
years,
Oh my
every time
gosh.
her kids are there, because she's at the hospital a lot, that's like her job. But every time her kids are around, she's like, go to the vending machine. Here's the money. Here's the money. Go to the vending machine. And I just thought it was,
There must
that's all I
be
kept
a
thinking about.
montage.
Oh
I
my
wonder if there's a
God, I
montage out
wish.
there.
If I could find a montage of the amount of times that Elizabeth has sent her children to the vending machine. Oh, that was really, really funny. So that's why she's probably at a loss. She's like, I spent so much time sending them to the vending machine that I don't know what to do in this situation.
Oh my god, Elizabeth
You
irritates
failing
me.
me, vending machines. I don't know how to solve
Oh
this
my
problem.
god. Okay, so what was really funny though, because even though Franco handles things wonderfully, he's doing his research, he's trying to like be the best person he can to these children, especially Aiden. What did you think of like Franco and Scott scene?
Oh my gosh, he tries to be supportive in the loudest way possible because you would think that Scott is like you think that there was a conflict, like they're yelling at each other, but he's not. Like he's basically like, "What's wrong with Elizabeth? Is everything okay with you guys? Maybe I can help." Like that's ultimately what he's trying to say, but he does it in his Scott way that you're just staring at your TV going, "What is happening?" Now.
That is,
And
oh
then you have
my
to,
god.
oh my gosh, and his like, I just love how Franco reacts to him when he's like, you know, I can't play catch really well.
It was such a great thing. 'Cause he's like, because exactly that. He starts like yelling at him. You're like, I don't understand what's going on. He's like, I'm your father. You're supposed to come to me for advice.
Scott's hilarious, and I honestly think he's like that in his real life. When you've heard him on like on interviews, like I've heard him on interviews, and I've heard him on the Stokel and Jacko podcast. I'm like, I think he really is that person. Like he's just very loud. It's super funny like that. Yeah, so I really really enjoyed their interactions. I mean, Franco's always hilarious, much less when you put him and Scott together, it's just even funnier. But I didn't understand why Elizabeth wanted to talk to Lucky. Like I wasn't sure how Lucky was going to help in this
Oh,
situation.
I think it's just because Laura gave her that advice and she just didn't know what to do because she doesn't know how to talk to him. That she figured, hey, let's just pull this other one out of the hat. Let's confuse the boy even more.
I know, and I wonder what it's like for Laura. The fact that like Lucky has chosen to be completely absent from his own kid's life. I don't know. That whole thing was just really weird that they brought him up at all.
I think so too because they're bringing up a lot of names lately. Like they've been bringing up. Wait, who else are they bringing up?
I don't know, but apparently they've been bringing up tons of people all week long, just bringing them up.
It was last week. It was last
Is it
week.
the what if episode? Maybe that
Oh,
Dante
it was
was there.
Nicholas. It was Nicholas. They're bringing
Oh
Nicholas
yeah,
and
Nicholas.
Benj. So Lucky. So is it because like they're both coming back? Like why were they bringing up the brothers? Like it's kind of like a weird
That's
situation.
true. Oh, okay. This is what I wanted to say. Okay, so there was somebody on Instagram who was like, they just made a comment. They were asking something about Carly. So it was Lucky Mama of Three on Instagram. She mentioned something because she was watching the old collection. So, anyways, she made me want to watch the old episodes. So I started to watch the old episodes. This is the one where it's like literally in 1999, it's like 20 years ago. So Carly catches Jason dancing with Elizabeth, and that's when she goes to sleep with Sunny for the first time. So I'm watching that episode. Elizabeth used to be so cool because you're watching
Really?
that episode, and when she's not talking like a goody goody or little mouse. Like she talks with edge and she talks with attitude, and she's like upset over stuff. And even in that moment, she's not really like obsessed with Jason. She was dancing with him, hoping it would make her feel like she was dancing with Lucky. And it was
Huh.
just so strange looking at her now. Like she's really, I mean, of course the characters evolve. She's a mom of three now, but it was just so insane to watch. Like she completely lost her edge. She's just not really the same anymore. She could use
So
that
we,
edge because it'll probably come up when she finds out what's going on. But I mean, how do you think Lulu and Elizabeth of all people are going to handle this? I mean, Lulu seems to
oh,
accept that there might be an issue with Charlotte. So that's huge. That's huge that she's accepting that, things aren't really perfect or the way that she sees them. But they're both kind of, they're never wrong. They're always right. They're both
yeah.
kind of self-righteous. So it's just hilarious. I don't know how this is going to go. It's going to be funny. And not only that, so I guess I watched an old episode, but somebody had posted online a really old clip, not of this Lulu, the girl who played her before her,
Hmm.
like basically confronting Elizabeth in public at the hospital for sleeping with Nicholas and cheating on Lucky. And so it's just funny
Oh.
that I saw that this week, and then they're both back at the nurse's station, probably about to go head to head again. But I have no idea how this is gonna go. Like, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be yelling at each other.
Oh yeah, definitely the way you said it. Like going head to head, and the way they filmed that scene, it was like a boxing scene. It was
Yeah.
like, when they go into the boxing ring and they like punch gloves and then they go their separate ways. That was exactly how that scene was filmed. So I'm like, yeah, shit's gonna go down.
And I'm kind of super excited because I mean, they're not my favorite, and they're, like I said, I like them very context specific, and this is the point of soap operas. There's characters that you love to hate, and I do love to hate them. Like, I wouldn't want them off the show because I like to not like them. And so the fact that I'm watching two characters that are not my favorite, that I'm kind of annoyed can never take responsibility, about to have a fight, is just so fun. So fun.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it too. I can't wait to see how that's gonna like happen because is it the kids that's gonna end up resolving things on their own and then the girls that are gonna be fighting?
I don't see how they're gonna come out of this not fighting. Regardless of whether the kids settle this on their own. Like, I mean, I think Aiden's doing fine. I think what Franco is doing is really helpful.
Yes, I think so too.
Like, I think already that is making Aiden feel good. I think Aiden being around his family makes him feel good. He doesn't like being at school, no, but he says, I like my family because they like me, and I was like, they're nice to me, and I was like, oh my god, you poor thing, you poor thing. But at least Franco's on the case for real. But yeah, no, I'm super excited to see what's gonna happen with those two.
Me too.
And what is okay? So before we go, so, like, we're gonna go back to Michael, and because they had like one of the last scenes today, I think. So Michael and Miss Tate. Oh my god, I'm trying so hard not to call her Tater Tot, but I'm obviously still saying Tater Tot.
You're
So
making me
now,
hungry.
so now we come to know that neither of them have shared their stories. So now I really think that their stories are connected.
I know so badly. I think it's connected.
And
Like
because
I
Nina,
just
go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you go. Let's be super Canadian. No, you go. Well,
Okay,
it was
fine, I'll
after
go.
what Nina said to her when she said, "Do you have a child?" and we saw her reaction. So now we do know that the loss is related to a child.
Exactly. And then Elizabeth had also asked something along the lines of like, this seems really personal to you in terms of like the kid being withdrawn or like the whole bullying situation. And she still she clammed up a little bit too. And then she kind of switched the conversation and changed it towards like caring for all of her students individually and making sure they have a safe and happy environment, blah, blah, blah. So it leads you to think like, okay, so you had this kid, but why did you give it up? Like, what's your story?
Well, because see, the little things like that make me confused because I'm like, well, did she have an experience with a child that was older? Like, it's really confusing right now as to what the deal is. But I definitely think that she's there to help Michael find his kid. And who knows, maybe she'll end up getting a kid out of it anyway if she ends up with Michael. Not hers, but a kid.
Exactly. I know. That might all work out.
Yeah, so we'll see how long she stays on and everything like that. But it looks like at some point soon, one of them will have to start sharing in their support group, and we'll get a clue as to what's really going on.
Yeet.
We're gonna talk next week, same time.
Same bat channel. Gotcha.
Okay. Well, have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye.